Have you been feeling tired, foggy, or more anxious than usual, or just a little off, and you can't quite figure out why? Maybe you've tried a new supplement, a new morning routine, a new book, or a new plan, and nothing seems to move the needle the way you hoped it would. If that sounds like you, I want you to take a deep breath because this episode may give you some insight that you've been needing. Today, we're going back to the basics. Not the trendy basics, not the ones that require a $200 gadget or a perfectly aesthetic morning routine. I'm talking about the 6 fundamentals that quietly run the show in your body and your mind. When these are shaky, nothing works quite right, and you probably don't feel fully like yourself. But when these are steady, everything else in your life has a fighting chance, and you can start to come home to yourself. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Seasons of Joy podcast. This is episode number 215, the 6 fundamentals your body and mind are begging for. My name is Jill Pack, and I'm a life and relationship coach for midlife women of faith. I have training in relationship mastery, faith-based coaching, and nervous system resilience. I share ways to strengthen the relationships in your life, the one that you have with yourself, with others, and with God. But before we get into the 6 pillars, I want to share with you my upcoming small group called the Clarity Circle. This is a 12-week cohort for midlife women of faith, women who have read the books, listened to the podcasts, and still find themselves reacting in the same old patterns, the same old ways. Now, this isn't about fixing you. This is about practicing a slow, honest way of paying attention to what is actually happening in you and in your relationships. You get weekly teaching, live coaching calls, and a small private community of women walking alongside you in this. It is small on purpose, and it is a season on purpose. And when the doors open, they are open for a short window. You can join the waitlist at seasons-coaching.com/work-with-me, or there will also be a link in the show notes. The doors to join the Clarity Circle open to the waitlist first on August 25th, and then to everyone else on August 29th. There are only 30 spots, and we start in September. I would love to have you join us. So let's dive into the pillars. Why do these pillars that I'm going to share with you today matter so much, especially for those of us in midlife? These aren't just self-care tips. These are the daily inputs that shape 4 of the most important systems in your body. Your nervous system, which decides whether you feel safe and calm or wired and on edge. Your endocrine system, which runs your hormones, your energy, and so much of your mood, and which is going through real changes in midlife. Your immune system, which protects you from illness and manages inflammation. And your gut-brain connection, which influences your digestion, your mental clarity, and your emotional regulation more than most of us realize. Every single one of these 6 pillars we're about to talk about today touches all 4 of those systems. Sometimes the effect is immediate. You skip sleep and you feel it the next day. Sometimes the effect is slow and quiet, and it builds over months and maybe even years. I like to think of these pillars as a stewardship. The body you have is a gift from God, and these small daily choices are how we care for that gift. We aren't always going to do it perfectly, but we can do it with consistency and love. So let's get into them. Pillar number 1 is sleep. Sleep is first because nothing else works well without it. The research is clear that most adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And here is a very important truth. You cannot save up on sleep, and you cannot fully catch up on it. Sleeping in on a Saturday does not erase the debt from a hard week. Your body keeps score. What matters most is consistency. Going to bed and waking up around the same time every day, even on weekends, is one of the most powerful things you can do for your nervous system and for your hormones. Let me give you some examples of what this could look like. Maybe it's setting a bedtime alarm, not just a wake-up alarm, but one that reminds you to start winding down. Or you could choose a consistent wake-up time, even on Saturday, that's within 30 to 60 minutes of your weekday wake time. Or building a simple wind-down routine, maybe washing your face, reading your scriptures, journaling for 5 minutes, maybe some slow breaths once you get in bed. Maybe putting your phone on the dresser across the room instead of right next to you on the nightstand. Maybe getting blackout curtains or a simple sleep mask if your room isn't dark enough. Or keeping your bedroom cool, maybe around 65 to 68 degrees, will work well for most people. Maybe skipping the late afternoon caffeine, because caffeine can linger in your system for 8 to 10 hours. Or maybe finishing your dinner 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed so that your body isn't busy digesting when it should be resting. Now, this is something that I continually have to work on. And the last 4 or 5 days, I haven't been getting that consistent sleep. And I can feel it. So I have been considering, what do I need to change? And so I want you to think about your evening. Do you have a wind down routine that tells your body it's safe to rest? Or are you scrolling until your eyes close and then wondering why you feel wired at midnight? Your sleep environment matters too. It should be cool, dark, and quiet. And hopefully we can move our phone across the room if we can manage that. And in midlife, sleep gets more complicated because hormonal shifts can affect how deeply we sleep and how often we are awake, which is exactly why protecting your sleep becomes more important now, not less. So here's a question for you to reflect on. What is one small change to your evening that could protect your sleep this week? Pillar number 2, sunlight and darkness. The second pillar is one we often overlook, and it's totally free. Your body is designed to run on a rhythm, and that rhythm is set by light and by dark. In the morning, we want to try to get 5 to 30 minutes of natural sunlight in our eyes, not through a window, actually being outside, because this helps regulate our cortisol, our mood, and our sleep that evening. And then we want to bookend our day with sunlight in the late afternoon or evening. This tells your body we're wrapping up for the day. And at night, aim for 6 to 8 hours of true darkness. We want to dim the lights after sunset. Maybe give our eyes a break from the screens when we can, and your melatonin will thank you. So here are some simple ways to build this into real life. Maybe take your morning drink, your water, whatever it is, on the porch in the backyard for 10 minutes. Maybe it's taking a short walk around the block before you start your day. Maybe opening the blinds first thing when you wake up, or eating lunch outside when the weather allows, walking to the mailbox or around the yard after sunset, switching to lamps instead of overhead lights after dinner, using warm, dim lighting in the evening instead of bright, white light. Maybe it's wearing blue light blockers in the evening if you're on screens, or keeping your bedroom as dark as possible, covering little lights on chargers or clocks if needed. And on cloudy or winter days, we can still go outside because overcast light is far brighter than indoor light. This one pillar alone can change your energy, your mood, and your sleep quality more than you would expect. So here's a question for you to reflect on for this pillar. Where in your day could you step outside without your phone, even for a few minutes? Pillar number 3, movement. Movement is one of the most powerful things you can do for both your physical and mental health. I know this is true for me. I'm not talking about these punishing workouts or hours at the gym. I'm talking about movement. Walking, strength training, stretching, dancing in your kitchen, gardening, playing with your kids or grandkids. Every kind of movement counts. This reframe has helped me. Every kind of movement counts. So what does this look like in a normal week? Maybe 20 to 30 minutes of walking on most days, ideally outside. Strength training 2 or 3 times a week, which becomes essential in midlife for bone density and muscle mass. Maybe gentle stretching or yoga in the morning or before bed. Dancing to a favorite song while you make dinner. Taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Parking farther from the store on purpose. Gardening, pulling weeds, planting flowers, walking meetings or phone calls instead of just sitting. A short walk after meals can help with our blood sugar, playing pickleball, hiking with friends, swimming, getting up every hour to stretch if you sit at a desk all day. and restorative movement on hard days, like slow stretching or a gentle walk instead of just pushing through. Movement supports your mood, your blood sugar, your bone density, your lymphatic flow, your nervous system regulation. In midlife especially, consistency beats intensity every time. And here's something else I would invite you to consider. What if you moved because your body wants to, not because you're trying to fix it or shrink it? What if movement became a way you cared for yourself rather than a way you controlled yourself? So here's a question for you to reflect on. What form of movement feels like a gift to your body and not a punishment? Pillar number 4, nutrients. Now, when I say nutrients, I want you to think bigger than just food. Yes, food matters. Whole foods, protein, fiber, colorful plants, drinking enough water. These things support your energy, your digestion, and your brain. Here's what nourishing your body can look like. Building meals around protein, aiming for around 30 grams at breakfast to steady your energy and your blood sugar, adding a fruit or a vegetable to every meal, drinking half of your body weight in ounces of water each day, and adding a pinch of sea salt or a bit of lemon to your morning water for better hydration. Maybe keeping easy proteins on hand like hard-boiled eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, jerky, or rotisserie chicken. Eating within an hour of waking to support your cortisol rhythm. Slowing down at meals, chewing thoroughly, and eating without a screen in front of you. And noticing how different foods make you feel 2 hours later, not just in the moment. But nutrients also include what you consume with your eyes, your ears, and your mind. The media you scroll, the news you take in, the conversations you have, the books you read, the voices you let inside your head. Here's what this can look like. Unfollowing accounts that leave you feeling anxious, envious, or not enough. Choosing one time of day to check the news instead of grazing it all day long. Trading 20 minutes of scrolling for 20 minutes of reading something that feeds your soul. Listening to a general conference talk or a hymn on your commute. Being thoughtful about which podcasts and shows you let into your regular rotation. Noticing which friendships leave you feeling filled up and which ones leave you drained. Setting your phone down during meals and conversations. Everything you take in becomes something your body and mind have to process. Whether it's a meal or a news feed, it all counts. And I have seen this affect me personally and some of the people I love. I want you to gently ask yourself, what am I feeding my body and what am I feeding my mind? And then continue by reflecting on this question. What is one nutrient, food, or otherwise that you want more of and one you want less of? Pillar number 5, relationships. This pillar has 3 parts and all 3 parts matter. The first one is your relationship with yourself. How do you talk to yourself when no one is listening? Are you kind? Are you honoring your needs and your limits? Are you tending to your inner world with the same care you'd give a dear friend? What would that look like? Maybe noticing your self-talk and asking, would I say this to my daughter or my best friend? Maybe journaling for a few minutes in the morning or evening. Maybe keeping those small promises that you make to yourself, like the water you said you'd drink or the walk you said you'd take. Resting when you're tired instead of just pushing through. Saying no without over-explaining. Sitting quietly for 5 minutes without your phone. The second is your relationship with others. This includes real connection, meaningful conversation with people who know you and love you. This isn't optional because belonging is a biological need that we all have. So real connection could look like maybe a weekly phone call with a sister, a friend, or your mom, a monthly lunch date, or a walk with a friend who fills your cup. Being intentional about looking someone in the eye and being present with your spouse or your kids. Serving in your ward and in your community. Sending a quick text just to say, I was thinking of you. Hosting something simple like a soup night, even when your house isn't perfect. Sitting on the porch with a neighbor. Or joining a class, book club, or a small group where you'll see the same faces regularly. And the third relationship is with God, which includes prayer, scripture, study, temple worship, quiet moments of listening. This connection anchors everything else. When we know who we are and whose we are, our nervous system settles in a way that nothing else can offer. So what does this look like? Maybe beginning and ending our day with prayer, even a short one. A few verses of scripture with your morning drink. Attending the temple regularly, whatever that rhythm looks like for you in this season. To a conference talk while you fold laundry. Sitting quietly and simply listening. Not asking for anything. Writing down promptings and answers to prayer so that you can see God's hand over time. And maybe singing or listening to hymns as you move through your day. Now, loneliness and disconnection affect the body every bit as much as physical stressors do. And connection heals in ways we're only beginning to understand. The Harvard study of adult development is the longest running study of happiness and human life in history. The study began in 1938, and researchers tracked 724 men from youth to old age. And later, they expanded the study to include 2,000 of their spouses and their descendants. And the primary finding was this, and it was very clear. Good relationships keep us happier, healthier, and help us live longer. So here's your question to reflect on. Which of these three relationships feels most in need of tending to right now? And finally, pillar number 6, stress reduction and stress resilience. The last pillar is really 2 skills, and I want you to listen to the difference between them. The first skill is reducing stressors. This is asking, what can I remove, delegate, say no to, or simplify? So many of us are carrying loads we were never meant to carry alone. Sometimes the most healing thing is to put something down. So what would it look like to reduce stressors? Maybe it's saying no to a calling, a committee, or a commitment that isn't yours to carry right now. Maybe it's simplifying your calendar and protecting real white space, or asking your spouse or kids to take on more of the household load, letting go of a tradition that has become a burden instead of a joy, or simplifying dinner with a few repeating meals instead of reinventing the wheel each night. Muting group chats that drain you. Batching errands into one day instead of running into town every day. Getting help, whether that's a house cleaner once a month, grocery pickup, or a therapist. And letting go of the pressure to have a picture-perfect home, holiday, or Sunday. And the second skill is widening your zone of resilience. This is asking, what helps my nervous system recover when stress does come? Because stress is part of life. The goal isn't to just avoid it. The goal is to learn how to recover faster. So what does building resilience look like? Maybe slow, deep breathing, especially longer exhales than inhales. Orienting to your surroundings by slowly looking around and naming what you see. Placing a hand on your heart and taking a few slow breaths. Getting outside and putting your bare feet on the grass. Prayer, especially prayers that just tell God how you're really doing. Time in nature, even 10 minutes in the backyard. Real rest, not just collapsing on the couch with your phone. Humming, singing, or gargling, which all engage the vagus nerve. A warm shower or bath at the end of a hard day. Talking to a safe friend, coach, or therapist. And gentle movement, like a slow walk or stretching when you feel keyed up. Chronic stress touches every single system we've talked about today. Your sleep, your hormones, your immune system, your gut, which is why this pillar isn't just nice to have. It is essential. So here's your question to reflect on. What is one stressor you could remove and one practice you could add? Now, I know that was a lot of information, but the goal isn't to do all of these perfectly at all times. No one is doing all 6 of these perfectly. Not me, not the women I coach, not anyone. The invitation today is not to do more. The invitation is to notice which pillar is quietly asking you for your attention right now. Which one, if you gave it just a little love this week, would ripple out into the rest of your life? Small, consistent care in these areas is the foundation that makes everything else feel more possible. Your goals, your relationships, your calling, your joy, it all rests on these 6 pillars. Now again, you don't have to overhaul your life. You just have to start where you are with what you have today. So here's what I want you to do this week. Pick one pillar, just one, and choose one small way to care for it. Then I'd love for you to come and tell me, send me a message, leave me a review, or share this episode with a friend who needs to hear it. Let me know which pillar you're focusing on because I love hearing from you. If you want more support with this, my coaching door is always open, and I'll put the link in the show notes for my Clarity Circle and my one-on-one coaching. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You are doing better than you think you are, and your body, your mind, and your spirit are worth this care. I'll talk to you soon.